Alrighty then. With the big one out of the way, we got three more albums to go. Let's get started talking about Afterlife, who dropped their brand new album, Part of Me.
So who here heard Breaking Point, their last album?
I have not.
I have heard songs from it at live shows. Does that count?
Justin, have you heard Breaking Point?
Repeat that. Repeat
Have
the
you heard
question.
Breaking Point, the first Afterlife album?
No, I have not.
Damn,
I don't like
not one
Afterlife.
person. Fuck me. I was gonna ask what people thought about them in conjunction with each other. Okay, well then I gotta go with the next best thing. Jacob, as somebody who has heard bits and pieces of the album at live shows, how do you feel with your impression of those songs versus what you've heard at Part of Me?
I don't know.
Okay,
Like
well then
I,
I'll
I,
go.
I enjoy the song, like the title track, Part of Me. Like I said, whenever it came out, I over listened to it, but I still think it's a good song. Envy. I know I'm not really comparing the two, like you said, but I'm just gonna say go off.
Do it. Hit me with it.
Envy has grown on me a bit. I'm very underwhelmed by the breakdown still. Yeah, there's honestly, it's I can't really get into this album overall. There's bits and pieces that I enjoy, but overall, it's not really my thing.
I think I'm gonna echo that a little bit, and I don't want to, and it
Yeah, I
bothers
know.
me.
I don't want to be. I sound so mean.
Yeah, well, I think I want to like this album more than I do.
Yeah.
We talked about, at least earlier, how with like from Ashes to New, where, well, I guess the comparison that I wanted to make wasn't just because they're a band that's got both, clean vocals and then rap vocals, but the comparison that I wanted to make there is that, like, I feel like a lot of bands have a starting point and then maybe branch out too early. And I feel like that's almost what happened here. I think that Breaking Point for me had a much more cohesive sound to it that implemented the rap vocals a lot better. For me, it feels like you take a couple songs off of Part of Me, replace a couple songs on Breaking Point, and you have something that sounds more like a sophomore album. To me, it feels like their sound was almost more mature on Breaking Point and like more cohesive. I think that here there's a lot of good individual parts, and like you mentioned, Part of Me I think is far and away the best track off this album. Which it gave me Linkin Park vibes I mentioned when we first reviewed it, and I think that if they stuck with that sort of rap rock kind of motif consistently throughout the album, I think it would be a lot better than trying to say, okay, well, here's a song in something like Miles Away where it's mostly rap. And then here's a song like Envy where we are just going to release metalcore. And then here's a song like Part of Me, which is rap rock, you know? Like, I feel like this album's a little too all over the place. Like, every given section of the album is having its own individual identity crisis. Like, this to me feels like a collection of songs and ideas rather than one cohesive album. And I also think that it's a little too short. You've got
It is
multiple
certainly short.
tracks. Yeah, you've got multiple tracks under 3 minutes.
I think it could go with
And
one more song at least.
yeah, I mean, well, it's a 10-track album. It ends up being
Yeah.
under 30 minutes, which, like, would be fine theoretically if, front to back, this was a cohesive album. It had an opener and a closer that flowed well into each other, so it'd be easy to repeat. Ideally, you get a 10-track album that's phenomenal and it's under 30 minutes. Fuck yeah, put that thing on repeat. Just vibe. You can listen to it twice in under an hour. Whereas with this, I'm left feeling like some songs are a little too similar to one another. some songs feel like they're, maybe nothing special. The transitions genre to genre a little too, not jarringly, I guess, but it doesn't feel like the change in genres comes at like a natural pace, I guess would be the way to put it. I don't know. Overall, there's some good songs here, and on the songs that even I'm not as high on, there's good moments. I just I think the singles had me expecting something a little bit more, and I'm instead kind of left with an amalgamation of tracks of different genres that's just kind of like I like it, but I wanted to love this album coming into it, and I don't think I left with that experience.
All right, so I also think I had higher expectations for this album going into it than I should have, but I was not left disappointed at the end of it. I want to start by saying, have you thought about how this album would sound live at all? Because
I
when like a few days into listening to this album, I made the realization that this album feels like it was made for live shows. I like if we're talking about the ratio of how much I enjoy an album to how much I want to hear it live, this is one of the albums that I want to probably hear live the most, like more than like not more than like some of my favorite albums of the year, like a Normandy or an As Everything Unfolds. Like I really badly want to hear those live. But if we're talking about like albums outside that like S tier that I want to hear live, this album is at the top of that list. Or at least like
yes.
very near it. Like
Okay,
I'm
I'm
thinking
with
about
you on.
songs like Envy. That song would fuck live.
Envy,
Misfit Anthem,
yep.
Burn It Down, um, even Part of Me. Those four songs would fuck live. Like the pit would be going during those songs. I feel like this album was made to kind of just to be like a hype album almost. Maybe that's just
Okay.
that might not be the interpretation they were going for, but that's how I listen to it. And in that context, if I want an album that's gonna just be raw energy to like pump me up, this album gives me everything that I want to. The only track that kind of misses for me here is Miles Away, and I think it works as an interlude-esque song, kind
Yeah.
of chill. I'm not gonna go back to it individually. Um, but Misfit Anthem, the week after, so this album released on the same day as Caskets. When Spotify's on repeat playlist generated for the following week, Misfit Anthem was the top of my on repeat playlist over anything from
Yeah.
Caskets. Just to show how much I fucking love that song. I thought Part of Me was going to be standout, like clear my favorite song from this album. Misfit Anthem is giving it a run for its money that I wasn't expecting. It's barely over 2 minutes, and that chorus is just that everybody get up, this is my Misfit Anthem. Like, yeah, it's not the best lyricism, but bro, that shit is gonna pump me up every single time that I hear it. And it's gonna get me headbanging on like most of this album. I'm I'm just having a great time with this album, to be honest. It might not be like quote unquote the best album, but for like kind of like a metalcore rap new metal somewhere in that sphere of
Mm-hmm.
albums,
Yeah.
I am really enjoying this.
You know what? I will agree with this as a live album. I think if I'm not looking at it, because I mentioned this, it feels more like a collection of songs
Mm-hmm.
than a cohesive
And
album.
I think that ties together.
Yeah,
That
yeah. If you
it
got a
makes sense.
collection of songs that translate well live,
Yeah.
fuck yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know what? I Looking at it
That's
from that lens, I think I appreciate it more. Not that I would enjoy the songs any more than I do, but just that it's like if that was the intent, then I get it more now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it makes more sense to me.
I have no idea
Um,
if that was the intent or not, but that's how I'm
yeah,
interpreting it, and that's how I'm enjoying
yeah.
it the most. Before we move on, I do want to give a shout out to some of the songs that we haven't really mentioned. Pure and Who Am I? Pure, I think, also would probably go hard as fuck live. And then
Oh yeah.
that chorus of Who Am I? Where it's Who Am I? What am I? What am I gonna be this time? Or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Super
yeah.
super catchy. It's surprisingly catchy for how heavy it is. I feel like you don't expect a chorus that kind of heavy vocally to be like you wouldn't associate a catchy chorus with that, but it is. And I think that's just again that's just I don't know if I want to say good songwriting, but like it's them recognizing how to make a good live song almost, whether that was the intent or not. Like, dude, if Afterlife is coming around supporting some sort of a metalcore tour in the Connecticut area, I am on board, bro. Like
Oh yeah.
the opening acts are usually what sells me on going to a tour. Like if there's a band I really want to see, but the opening acts are bands that I don't care about really, I'm probably not going to the tour as much as I want to go and see it. The opening acts are what sells me, and Afterlife would probably be one of the like biggest sells for like a live show this year.
Yeah, having seen some videos of them live, it looks hype as fuck. I would love to see them live. I think this album overall, even if I'm not like as high on it as an album, it's fun. It's fun. It's just fun, heavy music. And you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm left with a couple songs that I'll revisit, and on any given album, if that's what I can get, it's better than most of the other stuff I've heard this year, so I'll take it.